Okay, good morning. Today is March 11. It is exactly 9:03 a.m. This is a meeting of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. We have a quorum. Do you need to do a call to order?
No, ma'am.
Okay, roll call. I'd like to start by welcoming our newest member. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
Mr. Rojas. We look forward to working with you. It's a really interesting board. We're doing a lot of very interesting work and a lot of activity anticipated. Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm appreciative of the nomination to be part of this, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Great, thank you. So are there any public comments?
None received.
Thank you. Next, I have adoption of the minutes from our board meeting of February 12th, 2020. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the chair to execute a second amendment to the interlocal VRF project development agreement for the Pelicano Drive roadway improvement project with the County of El Paso for the provision of construction funding.
Good morning, Ray Mateus, Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. Many of you all will remember this item. This is actually very similar to the item that was presented and approved in the February board agenda. However, after it was approved by this board, it was sent to the County Commissioners Court, at which point they actually made a revision. Excuse me. What I've done is included in the backup the red line version, so you could see that on the very last page of the backup to see what the change was. And basically, the change was allowing for the RMA to, sorry, let me take it back a step. Let me tell you a little bit about what this is. This is for the Pelicano project. As you know, this is one of the vehicle registration fee projects out of the Comprehensive Mobility Plan, the 2013. This is an interlocal agreement between the county and the RMA, whereby the county is providing the construction funds for the project. So we, as you may recall, we have already procured a construction contractor and we are ready to go on this project. The interlocal that was approved in February granted the funds to the RMA so we could use them for construction activities. What that original interlocal amendment anticipated was that the RMA would pull federal funds from an advanced funding agreement that we have with TxDOT, and we would match the local component, which is the local match, through the county's funds that were being provided through a state infrastructure bank loan. That was what was outlined in the agreement in last month's agenda. However, between then and now, the County Commissioners Court, they've not finalized their SID loan agreement, their State Infrastructure Bank loan agreement just yet. So in the interim, they've asked us to access general funds from the vehicle registration fee program. So what you see as the amendment is the red line on the last page of the backup that allows us to access those funds while they are accessing the State Infrastructure Bank loan. So that's what's happening. It should not be very long from what we understand between the county and State Infrastructure Bank discussions. So this will be a very short-term use of general funds from the vehicle registration fee. So with that, and subject to your questions, I would recommend approval of this item.
Are there any questions?
Move to approve? I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next item, number 4. Discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the chair to execute an interlocal agreement with El Paso County for the provision of sidewalk design and construction.
Thank you. This item deals, as read into the record, with sidewalks. As you may recall, back in December of 2019, we entered into an interlocal agreement with the County of El Paso whereby they provided us with $448,000 to install, sorry, I have it reversed. Back in December of 2019, we entered into an agreement with the county whereby they were providing $332,920 for the RMA to design and install certain bus shelters for the El Paso County transit system. This one before you today is an interlocal that would provide $448,000 to the RMA so that we could develop sidewalks within Canutillo for the County of El Paso. So what we're doing here is really linking the two. We're going to put them two together, the $332,000 for bus shelters and the $448 for sidewalks. We're going to put it together and put it out as a single procurement. Both of these funding sources are local county dollars, county general fund, I believe. So we're going to link that together as a single procurement for efficiency and put it out for a single bid. So together then we'll put out a bid for $780,000 worth of design and construction of sidewalks in Canoteo. Specifically, as noted within the agreement, you'll see a graphic that shows which sidewalks we're focused on and the shelters that we had identified in December of 2019. So that's what you see before you. I will mention one other note. The county is pursuing and is on the verge of being awarded additional federal funds for additional sidewalks, as well as federal funds for additional bus shelters. So what we intend to do is once those are awarded to the county, then we'll have another interlocal which gives us access to those federal funds, and we'll have a separate procurement that is subject to and conforming with federal guidelines, and we'll have a separate program for federally funded sidewalks and shelters. So that's what in general, that's what you have before you. So subject to your questions on item 4, I would recommend approval of this one as well.
This will be good for them.
I actually want to say that I'm happy to see that we're engaging in some less traditional activities. I think this is a good example of opportunities for us to really partner across the region and do some of these kind of like non-highway types of projects and activities. So I would certainly encourage the planning committee and staff to continue to pursue all of those opportunities to the extent that they're available to us. So if there's any, are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Okay, so we're getting to our last item, quarterly presentation, update, and discussion on the following programs or projects. A, the 2013 El Paso County Comprehensive Mobility Plan, and B, the Border Expressway Project. So I've read them both into the record. We can just take those together.
Yes, ma'am. For the benefit of our new member, this is Edgar Fino. He's part of our general engineering consultant team, part of Atkins in particular. And each quarter he brings forward an update to let us know how we're doing on the 2013 El Paso County Comprehensive Mobility Plan. So with that, I'll ask Mr. Fino to present.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Edgar Fino with the GEC. If I could have the PowerPoint presentation. Yep, thank you. As Mr. Thez mentioned, this is the presentation for the 2013 El Paso County Comprehensive Mobility Plan update. I will be going over the CMP project map, the project listing, and the project updates to include design, projects under construction, projects funded by the Camino Real RMA, and projects constructed. Here's the CMP, the 2013 CMP project map that shows the projects that are either under construction or in design. Here's the project list, projects in design. We have 3 projects that I will go over individually. Projects under construction, there's 4 of them that are also included in the presentation. And the completed projects include 4 that will end the presentation. First project in design is Darrington Road. The map there shows from East Lake heading north to Pelicano. Darrington Road invoiced as of to date $973,357.32. We are finalizing the drainage plans, and we're looking at a bid opening of summer 2020. Pelicano Drive, we're still considering this a project in design because we have not started construction, but the limits for Pelicano are from Loop 375 heading east to Darrington Road. Construction activities to begin soon. We've already had the bid opening. We have a contractor preparing to start the work, and we will start construction activities soon.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So if it's in design phase, how is it, I guess these are just estimates as to cost, because if you're changing the design, then obviously it's going to affect the cost, correct?
Under the design phase, yes, but once we go out for bid, as far as bid opening, we get a low bidder as far as the contractor. So these numbers that we have for Pelicano are the actual contractor's low bid amount. But while we're in design, yes, it's an engineer's estimate.
Okay.
And then we do the bid opening as far as selecting the lowest bidder.
Okay.
So here, the contract bid amount from the lowest bidder as a contractor was $21,655,645.80. Another project under design is O.T. Smith out in Tornillo from State Highway 20 Alameda heading north towards Interstate 10. This project also, construction to begin soon. We already have the bid opening and we have a contractor waiting to start. Projects under construction. This is a Mission Ridge Phase 2 to fill in the gap of Mission Ridge 1. Our contractor's Jar Concrete contract amount was $5,662,216. Invoice to date is $1,614,456.76. Complete to date, we're at 28.51%. Contractor is processing the base, placing conduit for the illumination, and we're grading the pond and constructing a rock wall. Here are photos of Mission Ridge as far as looking south from the existing Mission Ridge Boulevard 1. And this is on the south end, right there, Paseo de Este, looking north. And also included in this project is the sanitary sewer line being installed on Pelicano. This is the contractor activities going on Pelicano. Next project under construction is Vista del Sol from Loop 375 heading east to Darrington. Invoice to date, $4,989,486.67. Complete to date is 96.87%. It is open to traffic, and we are working on the closeout documents for this project. This is Vista del Sol looking east. Next project is Rojas Drive. That one is from Bill Burnett heading east to Eastlake. Invoice to date, $3,898,544.09. Complete to date, we are at 94.19%. Working on closeout documents, and it is open to traffic. Next project, which is heavily under construction, is Eastlake Phase 1 from Interstate 10 heading east to Darrington. Invoice to date, $19,192,129.41. Complete to date, we're at 78.37%. We are currently working on Phase 3A, which is from Rojas Drive to Interstate 10, working on the installation of signals, irrigation, illumination, also the concrete pavement and signing and pavement markings. Here's a photo as far as Eastlake looking north. And here it's looking south on Eastlake. Projects completed, Greg Edgemere Extension, the arrows up there north as far as off of Greg and Edgemere. This project is open to traffic and the project is complete. Next completed project is Old Waco Tanks. Working on the closeout documents. Right now, TxDOT is auditing the project boxes as far as the documents, and we have not heard back from TxDOT, so that's what we're working out as far as closing out documents. Camino Real National Historic Trail, the signing project, that one is also complete. East Lake Phase 2, another completed project. Project is at 100%. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I don't know, this whole setup here and everything we've done has been so fantastic, it blows me away. If there's ever a model of how to do something in coordination with multiple agencies and the value that the RMA is in this type of a thing, this is it. I mean, for those of you that haven't been able, that haven't gone out there to see this and in reality, and then as we've watched it as a board, is there a way, I'm not so sure how well this is known throughout the community of which we operate within. And I'm not so sure that we, you know, I think we've got a really neat horn to blow. And, you know, if there's a PR way of getting this out there, this is the collaboration between the RMA and the county and TxDOT and the developers and everybody out there has absolutely been amazing.
Well, sir, to that point, one of the items that was developed in the strategic planning session was outreach. So that has been referred to the planning committee. So as soon as that committee gets together, one of the bullet points within the agenda will speak to outreach. I'll show you the outreach materials that we have, what we've done so far, and then a plan to respond to the board's desires from the strategic plan. So we are looking at that, yes, sir.
Have you talked with the county about maybe doing like a public update?
We have.
Like a marketing, I mean, I understand that part of our marketing and outreach is tied to our planning, but I do think there are things going on that would benefit us if we had kind of a PR firm on retainer that could maybe do like a quarterly update on projects, regional projects. I mean, a way just to sort of discuss this.
So- Sorry, we do have a firm, we have Barracuda, that is a sub to Atkins. So they're available to us, and in fact, actually, we've been speaking with the county about adding an outreach component to the CMP program. So we're
We might
looking
want
at
to
that.
talk with them about doing an update, like just a press release doing like saying, here's a quarterly update of successful projects completed by the RMA or under construction, and really highlight like the collaboration, the efficiency, projects on time, under budget. I mean, they would know how to do that very easily. We should be doing some of that now, and we could even go back and maybe do some things. And it would also give us an opportunity to kind of promote the RMA, because they would basically kind of give some history on it. You could also talk about that the RMA had done the 2008 mobility plan, oversaw the construction of the trolley. Just kind of a way to get the information out in the community.
Sure.
It might end up like getting a story like from the Inc. where they could do a Q&A and really focus on it in some detail.
Sure, we can look at that as
I
well.
mean, you can let the county know that we're going to start, we want to do some updates, public updates on our work, but since it's in collaboration with them, we can coordinate with them. They could get a quote from the county judge or somebody.
Sure,
You
okay.
know, and give them some, I mean, it's beneficial to them as well as us, because it also gives them an opportunity to showcase that they're using the RMA like a third-party relationship to expedite their projects in a way that's more cost-effective and efficient than it might otherwise be.
Certainly, I can look
So, I
into
mean,
that.
if they're under contract through Atkins, I think we should start taking advantage of that.
Sure.
And looking at just a way to kind of promote the work we're doing, and then you start having that lined up, so as we start our planning, and outreach, we can just utilize them as a component of that, since we've already got a contractual relationship instead of going out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Sure.
I might add one thing. The thing that really, and Raymond set it up when I became a new member of the board. The Atkins guys and our consultants for out there took me on a tour of all the projects. And when I went out there and they took me and through everything that went on and was going on out there and introduced me to all the different components of it. And then as I've watched it materialize over time, so thank you for that. I mean, it was just a great asset to me and understanding, then also seeing the developers and how they fit in. So if you can avail yourself, any of you newer members that haven't done that yet, it blew me away, I'll tell you that. And I've got a development background, and I couldn't believe how well it was being done. So,
I did have the opportunity to take a field trip. It was awesome. It was fun. Where's my driver? Right back there.
I guess I'm next.
I mean, it's transforming the whole east side of the county in terms of what the
It
opportunities
is.
are outside the city proper, so.
Well, and it's interesting, I
Really
spend a
great.
lot of time out there to see it all being done, but you don't know who's getting it done until now.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
and so I think you bring up some good points about it.
We should have some signage brought to you by.
There is. The logos are there. They just need to pop a little more.
Pop them up,
Yeah.
make them bigger. So
More
anyway, I
color.
just think that'd be worthwhile to do that and take advantage of that. Also, while we're on the subject, I saw Walter Miller at another event not too long ago, and he mentioned about wanting to get a meeting with us to go out to Horizon and talk to them about their projects. And I know you've done some things.
We have.
But I think if you would follow up with him to kind of talk about, I think he wants it on a bigger scale. Because
Okay.
he's saying like they're growing, they have no resources or capacity. So I'm thinking there's an opportunity to maybe kind of function like their public works and engineering department or whatever. So it might be worthwhile to see if he's really interested in having a broader discussion.
Certainly. I'll follow up with him.
Okay, just tell him that I asked you to follow up based on the conversation we had. All right, thank you, sorry. Moving on to the next update.
Thank you.
So the next item, several of the board members will recognize as well. Excuse me. The very last item then is the Borderland Expressway project. So this is also part of our program that we're involved in. And as you know, we provide quarterly updates on our construction activities and project development. In fact, actually, for your benefit, Mr. Rosas, next month we'll do our quarterly updates from a financial side. Anyhow, so today we're going to speak very briefly on the Borderland Expressway project. We'll talk about the project description, the partners, the status, and then, of course, questions along the way if you have any. The description, this is the project. You can see it in the map. The Borderland Expressway project actually consists of two distinct projects. One of them is the Northeast Parkway. That's within Texas, and you can see that identified by the blue line there on the map. And then there is a component in New Mexico that actually consists of New Mexico 213, which is in orange, and New Mexico 404, which is green. This is commonly known here locally as the Anthony Gap. So collectively, the improvements to those three segments is known here as the Borderland Expressway project. So we are part of a coalition that is focused on developing the Borderland Expressway, and we're going to talk a little bit about that here. New Mexico, the activities in New Mexico are mainly upgrades to existing roadways, whereas the Northeast Parkway would be new construction. I mentioned the coalition. There is a coalition that meets monthly that's actually chaired by Mr. Smith, and it consists of various jurisdictions because of the nature of this project, how it crosses a state line, crosses from municipality into unincorporated portions of the county and into New Mexico. also Fort Bliss as well. So you see here a list of the various project partners that meet each month, including Fort Bliss, TxDOT, the New Mexico DOT, City, County of El Paso, Doña Ana County, El Paso Water, El Paso MPO, UTEP, and of course the RMA as well. As I mentioned, the coalition was created as an ad hoc group of stakeholders that's interested in advancing the project itself. What you see there in the graphic is actually a handout that each of you has been provided. This one was updated in February of 2020, so it's got some really good project information for you. And we, of course, have those electronically as well. If you'd like to see those and share with your colleagues. Here's the project status. TxDOT is managing the development of the Northeast Parkway. The schematic design is complete. The environmental assessment activities are ongoing, and the final public hearing is currently scheduled for May of 2020. And in fact, actually, TxDOT has already procured a design firm to handle the PS&E, the design work. New Mexico DOT is working on the New Mexico sections of the Borderland Expressway. New Mexico 404 widening will let this year, and the RFP for preliminary design on 213 will be issued soon. It may have already been issued, actually. I know that it was coming pretty quick. Funding has been allocated from the El Paso MPO for these improvements in New Mexico. And the MPO has included both the Texas and the New Mexico elements into their long-range planning documents. So that's good news for the project. The RMA has been identified as a potential project sponsor because of our ability to cross jurisdictional lines very easily. So we are working with TxDOT and all of the other project partners to see if there is a role for us on this particular project. I would mention this board has approved 2 separate resolutions in support of the project, one in April of 17 and another in May of 18. Briefings have been provided to many local elected and agency officials, and you'll see the list there. Former Representative Pickett briefed the governing board of TxDOT back in 18. Meetings have also been held with various city staff and departments. You can see there. So we're continuing to provide briefings as needed. And this is a little bit new. As you all were briefed last month, the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization has adopted what they're referring to as the Regional Mobility Strategy 2020, or the RMS 2020. And that really is basically the latest version of the Comprehensive Mobility Plan programs that we've developed here over the last few years. Included within the RMS 2020, as you will recall, are 4 main priority projects, and one of those is the Borderland Expressway. So that's included within the RMS 2020. The coalition, there is a separate coalition, I should say a different way. There is the El Paso Mobility Coalition, which is housed out of the El Paso Chamber of Commerce. They are an advocacy group, and they are supportive and have expressed support for the RMS 2020, which of course includes the Borderland Expressway. So that's really all I have for you, just a briefing to let you know what's been happening on the Borderland Expressway. So subject to your questions, that's really all I have for you.
Have you ever worked with the state of New Mexico before?
We've not. We've been out there on a couple of visits explaining who we are, what we do, and offering certain services to them. We've offered everything from the financing of their component to actually design and construction. They seemed interested, but I think it's a bit of a territorial thing where New Mexico DOT said, thanks, but I think we'll handle it from here.
They're going to try to take their whole section and just do it themselves.
Yes, sir. And in fact, actually, they've moved. They are technically ahead of the Texas side, so they have secured funding for their segments already.
That would be kind of cool if we could broaden out a little bit.
I agree.
This is going to provide a tremendous help to the city when I-10 reconstruction begins and I-10 becomes a parking lot. The figures we've seen on this and the increase in traffic flow that's facilitated by this loop and the cutting down of time when compared to the present Loop 375 is really interesting. It's quite a savings. And for truck transportation, because I-10's a major all-weather east-west route, This is going to be a tremendous aid for the city. Mention one other thing, it's also going to open up huge commercial opportunities for Northeast El Paso that's taken a back seat many times for other things.
Well, and I'll expand on that a little bit to your earlier point. Within the handout, you'll see some of the work that has been completed through the coalition, through TxDOT, to identify wait times and travel times when this is used as a bypass. Now all of the data that's been developed to date does not necessarily include all of the construction activities that are being planned for I-10, and really I-10, the entire corridor. So as Mr. Parker was referencing, when the construction activities began on I-10, it's going to run for 10, 15, 20 years. So this becomes a really important bypass for vehicles that are coming through El Paso. So you'll see some of that in here as well.
Yes.
To Michael's point, when we first started this whole process a few years ago, we were kind of a focal point going for a federal grant to seeking the money to build the highway for both the New Mexico and the Texas portions. And that kind of went along very, very well until it imploded due to some political things, mainly on the Texas state side, that caused us to withdraw our efforts to submit a grant proposal. Madam Chair, going forward with, as we looked at different things to do, there's a huge potential out there in federal grant money that I don't think we've been really good at in going after, and there may be a role for us as the Regional Mobility Authority to be a conduit for that kind of a stuff, to get federal money into our region. So I just dropped that out there as something we can look to for the future, because that really had great promise until it did implode. And if that would have happened, then the RMA was working at being the conduit to build the entire structure all the way from the whole New Mexico and Texas version.
Anything else?
Looks like it's gonna go.
So, you have comments about the update?
Yes, ma'am, if I may. I wanted to, first of all, thank you all for the discussion last month. Cito Negron from the Sunset Heights Neighborhood Improvement Association. We left after the vote on the item we were interested in, and went back and looked at the video and saw that y'all had a further discussion. I'm sorry I missed that, and I appreciate that y'all did it. I just wanted to make a couple of points to the presentation. One is that it was mentioned 2 resolutions that y'all have passed in support of this. You may add a third. The resolution that you passed last month on the RMS does include Northeast Bypass as a part of the larger RMS, so you may include that as support for the Northeast Bypass. But I think it's an important question for folks who are proponents of that project to ask, what is the funding strategy for that? I was at the Texas Transportation Commission meeting last month, and my recollection is, and Ray can correct me if I'm wrong, he was the only one who mentioned the scope of the projects involved in the RMS, which is Northeast Bypass and the downtown project. The other speakers there on behalf of the Mobility Coalition and other entities only spoke about the downtown project. So that's all well and good to say here in El Paso that this is a package of projects that we all support and should get done, and that the Northeast Bypass is essential to get done before any work is done on I-10. But someone needs to be keeping an eye on Austin to see what El Paso is really asking for and whether or not the funding streams are going to match what our regional priorities have been here. So I think that's a very important question. Great point by Mr. Parker on the increase in traffic there. And I'd just like to say, from a regional perspective, I think one thing that we haven't done collectively is have a vision of how we would remove truck traffic from the heart of the city so that we can preserve I-10 for local traffic, extend its life, and possibly not have to widen it or do other things that would be detrimental to the other work we're trying to do with the community, connecting neighborhoods and all of those things. So there's a lot of work to do as a community to see this bypass in a larger regional context that allows us to use the whole scope of the Pass of the North, which is not just that Box Canyon. It's anywhere you can get through the mountain, east, west, north, south. And that gap is a great opportunity that we as a community really haven't fully explored. So that's it. I just want to say that. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you for your input. Any other comments or discussions? No executive session? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.